we are going to discuss methods in C# in this presentation. I have my own definition of methods that I like to use. I think of a method as a mini program or a code block that's written to perform a single task, and it does that task very well. They are used to make code more modular, readable, elegant, efficient, and easier to debug and maintain. Methods are also a form of abstraction in that the name of the method will identify the overarching action that will be taken, but then the details of how that happens are going to be within the method itself, and many times we might not even see those actions. You often use pre-written methods when writing code, such as console.writeLine hello. The writeLine is a method. Anytime you see the parentheses, the parens are going to indicate that that's a method. And sometimes the method has parameters, like hello is a parameter that we put in, or an argument that we put in. We will be discussing how you can write your own methods in order to manage your own code a little bit later on. The format of a method is consistent across many programming languages. This particular screenshot comes from Geeks for Geeks, and a method will always have an access modifier, and so it could be public, private. Here it can also be, there is one more option that it can be, protected. There's a return type. If the value is being returned, it is whatever the data type of that value, or it could be void if nothing is returned. You have a method name, and then we have a parameter list. Okay, and then there's the body of the method, and that will be inside the curly braces. Depending on what language you're in, we're in C#, it's in curly braces, but other languages might just have spacing in order to designate them. Many times when you're learning a new programming language, it's also important to kind of start to learn how to read the technical jargon. And this is the same screenshot, but it also includes the format of a method from Geeks for Geeks and C# methods, where the format inside these angle brackets, they have the access modifier, and then a return type, method name, and then the parameter list. And so learning how to maybe read this technical specification in addition to an example kind of like this is going to be important. We are going to be working through a quadratic formula demo, and so the video that is linked in here is going to use methods when creating a program to find solutions for a quadratic equation using the quadratic formula. You might wish to watch the video now or review the next few slides and then watch the video. I am going to go ahead and go through the next few slides to make this a short video, and then I will make the demonstration video and link it in. When you have a method, it's possible that the method will not return any values and it will not have any parameters. Some people will use the word arguments for parameters. They're kind of interchangeable. Technically, I believe arguments is the value sent in and parameters is the placeholder, where we'll talk about that in a minute. It'd be the placeholder for the values coming in. But this one has neither of those. And so we have public as our access modifier. Static we use to indicate that it's a method that doesn't belong to a class. You don't have to declare a class to use it. Void is our return type, and then the name of the method is directions. Notice the capital letter here on the naming. We are using Pascal casing when we name methods. This particular method just puts some data to the screen. It performs a couple of write lines, and that's it. When this method is called, it will execute these 2 lines of code. The next example has a method that has a single return value and a single parameter. So again, it's public, and we use static because we're not creating it as a class. It's kind of a standalone. We are using it in a demo program with main. It's going to return an integer. Name of the method is getInput, and now I have string prompt. Prompt is my input value, and that's going to be my parameters, my placeholder, where the argument's going to drop into that placeholder. So I'm going to send in a prompt, and then in this particular case it's going to say enter whatever that prompt is, and I'm going to do some error trapping for the data, and if it's bad I'm going to print out a message, and then I'm going to return input. Now here we decided on a 0 for a default value for our quadratic formula. Whether that's good or bad, I'm not going to argue that right now. That's our default value, and so if the data comes out and that is entered is incorrect, that's what's going to be sent back. This example is going to return a single return value, but it has multiple parameters. So unlike the last one where you had a single parameter, just prompt, this one has multiple. It has 3 parameters. This particular method is calculating one of the solutions to the quadratic formula, negative b plus the square root of the discriminant, which is b squared minus 4ac, calculated on the line above, divided by 2 times a. And then we return that solution. But we need a, b, and c in order to do that calculation. So I input 3 values, I do a single calculation. Please note that I declare a local variable here, 2 local variables actually, discriminant and solution, and then I return solution. When this program finishes, or this method finishes executing, all of the variables that are declared inside here, a, b, c, discriminant, solution, and those are all the variables, they are no longer in existence. They go out of scope, is what we say. Now, there is an A, B, and C back in our main program that we will use. Those are technically separate variables than the ones that are declared here locally to solution 1. Last but not least is an example. It got cut off a little bit over here, but it's public static void find solutions, and I input the A, B, and the C. But this is going to be a method where we have 2 reference parameters. Typically, you can only return a single value from a method. So for example, on the 2 previous ones, we returned a double solution, and the example one before that, we returned a single input value. You can only return a single value when you use this format, but if I want to return multiple values, there is a trick that we can use, and that's using a reference variable. A reference variable actually refers back to the the variable that's in main, or the calling portion of the program. And so these 2 solutions are actually going to be tied or linked to the solution 1 and solution 2 in our main part of our program. And so I don't have to return both of them because there is a link between the solutions that get calculated here and the solutions back in main. We know that because we use the keyword ref here. All right. And then I have my typical A, B, and C's. Now this A, B, and C are separate from the A, B, and C back in main. The reference variables are linked, and that's what's called a reference variable. Those are our examples. The demo video will show you how to take our quadratic formula program and convert it so that it's modularized.